Welcome to 6G Agenda. I'm your host, Andrew, here again with Justin Ward on the chords, as always.
Yo.
Hey, and we talk about what they want. Welcome back. Welcome back. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed our series finale of Jesper. We ended it. Sarah Boston, I hope I'm not upsetting you. We got more coming, but we're probably done with Jesper. We're going to go over what led us into Jesper in this one, and then we're going to kind of see where that takes us. We got plenty of good shit coming. Appreciate you, though, Sarah. Sarah Boston, for your comments. I see this one where you're talking about Queen Elizabeth and Jimmy Savile hanging out with Epstein. I didn't see that one. That's crazy. I'm not surprised. Jimmy Savile was a savage in a horrible way. Yeah. Crazy. Hunting parties, nuts. Absolutely nuts. I feel like that's probably as crazy as it gets for me, like in my opinion. I mean, obviously there's worse things like that we talked about, but the hunting humans thing just really, I was like, I need some concrete shit on this because which you can't. I mean, like we talked about, you just get testimonies from people and whatever, but that's enough for me, man. I mean, that's crazy. That is crazy.
Yeah, that's pretty nuts. I
Yeah.
can hear and listen about some of the other fuck shit that they be doing behind closed doors.
Oh yeah.
But then you hear about hunting parties, you're like, whoa,
That's next level.
what the fuck?
Like Hostel, the movie Hostel, maybe that's why it gets to me because I watched that movie as a kid so many times. As a younger man, a few times. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't eight, but like, I was probably like 12 or whatever, like watching that. And then, yeah, I was like, wow, this is about as bad as it gets, dude. People paying to do that. But anyway, you know what led us into Jesper was, I mean, the name itself, the global elite satanic pedophile ring. And the first two really matter. The global elite and the satanic pedophile ring matters just as much. But the global elite for this one really matters because we're going to talk about, I guess you could say, the context behind that whole series and why we went through that series. Because it wasn't just about, unveiling pedophilia rings. It was a lot deeper than that. It's about connecting people, things, entities, intelligence agencies, all that. So without further ado, definitely before we get going, you guys, check out our description at the end of the show now, whatever, follow us, hit us up on the Google, let us know, or on our Gmail rather, let us know how you feel about the show. And definitely rate, follow, share, review. We need all that so we can keep getting our exposure. We've been going up. We got lots of new listeners. Welcome. Thank you for coming through. We are still working on that premium channel. I've kind of been dragging my feet. I'll get it done. Hey, that's a good thing for you though. You know what I mean? Because that means that all my stuff is not behind a paywall. We've been doing it for free for a while. Gave you a lot. So we're going to switch over for a few here and there during the month. If you're feeling like you like it, definitely check that out whenever it comes. So that's about it. Let's get into it. So this one I kind of wanted to break down. I think we're going to start with the context of the definitions and how they've changed. Because I remember during COVID, weird things started to click for me. And one of the main things was they changed the definition of a vaccine. And we'll get into that. But along with that, I saw that Bill Gates had a book. And it was called How to Lie with Statistics. We'll get into who the author is, all that stuff. So I saw the book on his reading list during COVID. And I thought that was pretty odd. It was an odd name to have, especially during COVID for a book that you're trying to get people to read. I was like, wow, I got to get into this too. So this is years ago. Fast forward, a lot of things have kind of clicked for me. So I think we're going to bring it all together in this episode. We're going to be linking a lot of things together here. I hope you guys enjoy it. We're going to get into Epstein, Robert Maxwell, Trump, the relations, all the current affairs. We're going to unpack the Manhattan shooting. Everything's going to get talked about in this episode. Who knows? We're going to go till it's done. So we're going to start off with the definition of vaccine and vaccination and how that was changed by the CDC, and it was updated from introducing a vaccine into the body to producing immunity to a specific disease to emphasizing protection, not just immunity. So in other words, you're not as much immune as you are protected. That was kind of the selling point with COVID. Well, you'll be protected from the next variant.
Yeah.
Well, RFK, we could pull up a clip right now if we want to about RFK saying how people got the next, you know what? As a matter of fact, we will pull that up later because we're going to be talking about the mRNA vaccines. And RFK said, pull it up.
Or COVID, but as the pandemic showed us, mRNA vaccines don't perform well against viruses that infect the upper respiratory tract. Here's the problem. mRNA only codes for a small part of the viral proteins, usually a single antigen. One mutation and the vaccine becomes ineffective. This dynamic drives a phenomenon called antigenic shift, meaning that the vaccine paradoxically encourages new mutations and can actually prolong pandemics as the virus constantly mutates to escape the protective effects of the vaccine. Millions of people, maybe even you or someone you know, caught the Omicron variant despite being vaccinated. That's because a single mutation can make mRNA vaccines ineffective. The same risk applies to flu. After reviewing the science and consulting top experts at NIH and FDA, HHS has determined that mRNA technology poses more risks than benefits for these respiratory viruses. That's why, after extensive review, BARDA has begun the process of terminating these 22 contracts totaling just under $500 million.
Us.
To replace
It's under $500 million because the $500 million that they're going to be using for Stargate, Project Stargate. And this video that I just showed you, you're thinking, well, okay, yeah, he's talking about vaccination definitions. What does this have to do with definitions changes? Well, here's the thing. They changed the definition of vaccination. It matters because the genetic coding, they're acting like the genetic coding is going to stop with these vaccinations, but they're actually going to continue just in a different way under Stargate where different people profit. And so we're going to get into that in a little bit. Now, vaccinations with Project Stargate and the AI development of vaccines for customizable genetic, all that makeup and everything for people, that is coming and that is being funded. And it's funny because the $500 million that they cut from mRNA is just going to be going to that. So that's all I wanted to point out while we were on this topic of him saying that vaccines, they emphasize protection from the next mutation. And then he just showed you that that's not even the case. So they changed the definition to a lie is all I'm trying to point out as well in the same time. Okay. So Merriam-Webster revised its definition in 2021 originally. Okay. And this is right around the COVID time. We know this. You know what else they changed? They changed the definition of mass shootings. Now that's convenient because, a mass shooting in 2013 was defined as 3 or more victims killed in one incident, excluding the perpetrator. Now, before 2013, it required 4 or more people and it was lowered. And so they changed these little, like what it requires to be a thing. So that way they could say, oh, well, this is a mass shooting now that wouldn't have otherwise been one. Yeah. And then you get the conversations about gun control, right? So I'm just trying to point out that they'll change definitions and lie to you just to get you to feel a certain way narrative wise. Okay. Now, why does this matter? I mean, obviously it matters because they lie to us, but why does it really matter? Well, I don't know if anybody remembers their textbooks from school, but their textbooks from school generally was McGraw-Hill. McGraw-Hill happened to be owned by a character by Macmillan Publishing, Robert Maxwell. Robert Maxwell is the father of Ghislaine Maxwell, if you don't know that already. And so the reason why that matters is that all of our textbooks that we learned, our history and all types of, academic studies, were contrived by a Mossad agent, a known MI6 agent, and the same entity, I believe, the MI6, has their hands in the Merriam-Webster dictionary. It's owned by the Encyclopedia Britannica, Merriam-Webster is. And so when you trace that back, that's it's kind of weird. And if you look up who owns Macmillan Publishing and who owns Encyclopedia Britannica, it says it's a conglomerate of companies. Now, to kind of lay some context to that, let's go to that Mossad video, and I'll show you what I mean. This is what the Mossad does.
How did you convince Hezbollah to buy this? Well, obviously, they didn't know that they were buying it from Israel.
Who did they buy it from, or think they were buying it from?
We have an incredible array of possibilities of creating foreign companies that have no way being traced back to Israel, shell companies over shell companies who affect the supply chain to our favor. We create a pretend world.
So I've shown you this second half of this video before, and I feel like I did you an injustice not showing you the first half, but I'm glad I saved it for now to lay context to the fact that multiple companies, if you look up on Google who owns Macmillan Publishing, it says multiple companies. The Mossad is known to use multiple companies, that way they can't trace back to Israel. I'm showing you that Robert Maxwell changed our history and possibly our definitions through the hand of the MI6. And it wasn't just him, because now that he's dead, they still do it. So I'm just pointing that out to try to kind of bring that together as far as that goes, because it matters when you look at the PRISM scandal. Now, I don't want to bounce around everywhere, so we won't get into that now, because that's going to matter later. Trump is moving towards what the PRISM scandal was. Think Edward Snowden, PRISM, all that good stuff. What was going on then is now finally coming to fruition, because that was going on behind closed doors then. Now it's coming to fruition via Trump's bills and infrastructure that he's building. Now, I say all that to say, we're going to show the connections with Robert Maxwell and these companies, which we just did. We're going to talk about the definition changes, the history changes. Then we'll get into the connection with Epstein and Trump, and why that matters whenever we know that Robert and Epstein invested heavily in what is coming to fruition now. So there's a lot to lay down here. Don't get lost. We're going to try to be coherent. So yeah, Robert Maxwell, British media tycoon, the father of Ghislaine Maxwell, died under mysterious circumstances on November 5th in 1991. Apparently, it was after he laid a bunch of spy equipment inside of political office and got caught. So he blew his cover as a Mossad agent, and then he got killed and died of accidental drowning. Pretty nuts. So he must have pissed some people off. And so that's who Robert Maxwell was. And he owned that publishing company, and there's some lying going on with these. And now let's look at the next generation, Bill Gates. Lying with Statistics is a book that he had where he was trying to kind of push that out during COVID. And I think it's kind of weird because they'll kind of put things in your face in a weird way, where they'll be like, here, this book right here, this is what we're doing to you. And nobody notices, you know? They'll be like, hey, look, this is one of my favorite books, guys. Yeah. Don't worry about the fact that we're doing all this shit that's in this book right now in front of your face. It's just weird to me, you know?
Like, hey,
it's weird.
Take this now.
Well, this book was written in 1954. It's called How to Lie with Statistics.
Yeah, it's old as
fuck. It's a short, illustrated primer introducing the general reader to common misuses of statistics. And what it kind of lays out is that averages aren't simple. Huff warns that terms like average can refer to mean, median, or mode, and choosing one over another can shape the narrative. This misleading sample and bias kind of exposes itself to the importance of representation and unbiased sampling. So visual tricks with graphs is something that I feel like everybody kind of knows, because you can kind of zoom in on a graph and you make it look massively different than if you zoom out, right? So that's kind of one that a lot of people know about, right? Small and insignificant results. Huff notes that tiny differences can be blown out of proportion by ignoring error margins and statistical insignificances. Ooh. So pretty much what we're trying to point out is there's books that talk about how they manipulate us. And these same characters seem to be involved with all the publishing of these books too. It's weird. And just like the general, like, okay, this guy Huff probably was a guy who was just trying to tell you, hey, watch out for this. And then Bill Gates, the guy that's running all the shit going on, he's like, hey, read the book. It's weird, man. He's like, oh, the wrong guy found this book, didn't he? It's just fucking crazy, man. Hey, real quick, don't go. We want to tell you about our new sponsor. Our new sponsor is called Dubby. It's a clean energy drink made to give you focus with no crash, jitters, or angst like other ones, aka Red Bull. I still get that every day. I still buy those. I gotta
Yeah.
get this dubby, dude. Get this dubby so I can make the day a dub. I tried their sample pack. It's pretty good. I tried one that they just kind of give you, you
Yeah.
know. So I want to try some that I choose. The strawberry watermelon looks fire. So I definitely recommend. No it's got no sugar, maltodextrin fillers. Try saying that 3 times. And 150 milligrams of caffeine. There's nootropics, amino acids, everything you need to get that day done. All their flavors are unique, custom made by them right here in the USA. You'll never taste their taste anywhere else. Yeah, it's some good shit though. I highly recommend it. Comes out to about $1 a drink. You know, you toss a little bit. Hey, or you can split it in half. 150 milligrams, kind of a lot of caffeine. Unless
It's
you're a
kind of a
fucking
lot.
wild boy like Justin, he likes slamming 3 fucking Red Bulls to the dome, you know? You
I'll
don't
do
play
it all
games.
day. I'll do it every day, dude. I don't
I've
care if
se-
my heart stops.
I've seen him do it. And it may have stopped once or twice. But yeah,
Probably,
so
yeah.
I highly recommend trying it out. You know, it's a little bit more of a natural and healthy version of what you may be trying out now, and it's definitely a little cheaper. So go on over to W, try our 10% off discount. 6G agenda, all caps. And let's get back to that show. So yeah, the main core of this, though, that I really care about a lot is the fact that it talks about polio and how they used an example. So it talks about how in one city, paving the streets happened to be followed by a noticeable drop in polio cases. So local officials, newspapers, of course, Mockingbird, they proudly connected the dots of paved streets to getting rid of polio. And the logic was the polio cases dropped because after the paving, they must have cleaned up like the air or like their hygiene, right?
Yeah.
When in reality, there's a correlation and causation problem. Just because 2 events occur in like one sequence doesn't mean that it is one caused the other, right? But I believe they were testing this out so they could use this same logic for vaccinations. Yeah, dude. It's fucking genius, bro. It really is whenever you think about it. But in reality, polio rates already trended downward due to the other factors like seasonal patterns, public health measures, because they were starting to kind of talk about washing their hands during this time.
Yeah.
Figuring out that, hey, maybe we should wash our hands, dude. You know?
Maybe
should
our
make some-
hands shouldn't be nasty as fuck the whole time.
Yeah. It's crazy that it took till 1950s to figure that out. So pretty much his point is that humans are wired to see patterns, right? And that's what we do. We do that, but we try to do it in a objective way. Policy decisions can be made on false premises and patterns, which is kind of what we're pointing out with the COVID situation. You know, everybody knows about the dying of COVID versus dying from COVID. Everybody understands like how they were, you know, a guy dies in a motorcycle accident and he tested positive for COVID, right? Well, that's just their way of lying with statistics. And I can show you exactly how that is the same thing. So before the mid 1950s, a case of paralytic symptoms could be diagnosed if paralysis lasted for 24 hours or more. But after they released the vaccines, they changed it to where it was like 10 to 14 days. You must have it for 10 to 14 days before it was confirmed by a neurologist. Okay.
Yeah.
And so after the definition changed, that's what I'm trying to point out. They changed the definition. This is how you lie with statistics as well as you change definitions. That's why all this kind of comes together. Okay. It's all going to come together. But yeah, so the CDC and the U.S. Public Health Service revised the diagnostic guidelines. And and causes that were caused by similar viruses were excluded from polio counts. So they did the opposite with COVID, right? People would have something totally different. And they'd be like, well, you got COVID. That's what you're in here for. It's not the cancer. It's not the fucking bellyache. It's not all these other things. It's COVID, right? So it's kind of the inverted version. It's the inverted version of what they did with polio. With polio, they were like, no, nobody has polio anymore. The vaccines are here. You know what I mean? But they knew that eventually everybody would catch on with the hygiene, and then they would figure out, oh, and then they will never know that the vaccines had nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
People would come into the hospitals. They're like, "Oh, this guy's got COVID." No, man, I'm missing like half my leg. Like,
Mhm.
oh, you sure it's
I-
not
no,
COVID? I'm pretty sure
it's
it's COVID,
COVID.
dude.
Yep. And exactly. So change the definition, claim the victory, and show charge that drops sharply after the definition changes. Or you could do the opposite of that, change the definition, claim the failure, and then you would show charts that rise sharply if it was a pandemic situation, right?
Yeah.
And that's exactly what they did. Genius. Absolutely genius. While we're on this topic, let me make sure I didn't miss anything yet. Okay, so the Stargate mRNA vaccines. Should we talk about that now? Maybe I feel like we should bring that in while No, we'll wait. Let me finish making sure that. No, yeah, we're going to go ahead and get into it. So the Stargate mRNA vaccine plan, this all comes together because this was all being funded. You got to remember, Epstein, Robert Maxwell, they were super deep into eugenics. They were deep into new tech, all that shit. Epstein just carried the torch for Robert Maxwell. And we're going to uncover PRISM, Prometheus, that whole scandal with the octopus murders and all that shit. Probably in the next episode or the one after, to kind of lay some context to what I'm talking about and show you that, yeah, dude, Robert Maxwell was heavily involved. He was like the other generation before Epstein and them that was involved with all this tech that's kind of coming.
Yeah.
All used for systematic control. So with that being said, Project Stargate is a U.S. mega initiative that's announced in about 2025 of January. You guys should know a little bit about this by now because we've talked about this, but promising breakthroughs through personalized cancer vaccinations. That's the part that matters for us. Public claims touted AI-designed vaccines in as little as 48 hours. They're claiming that they can get you a customized vaccination right to your genome in 48 hours. So, personalized cancer vaccines already exist in trials through mRNA, which is why they're switching over to this so they can make the money off of their trials, right? But real timelines are weeks to a few months, not 48 hours. And because you still need tumor biopsy sequencing, all the different things you need for testing before you can even decide what the person's got going on. But what matters is that they are building a genetic. So what he talked about in that video, RFK, he talked about BARPA. It's a biological engineering your genes type of research place for vaccinations. And yeah, man, the Maha movement isn't what you think it is what we're trying to show you. That Maha movement is another form of systematic control. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Here
Go
we
ahead.
were
Do you have
going.
something to say?
No, yeah, I was just gonna say, like, here we are thinking, like, yeah, take away the fucking dyes,
Yep.
and now here we are.
Has nothing to do
We're
with it.
like,
Take
got
away
us
the
with
dyes.
another one, dude.
Take away the dyes. No, I'm actually going to give you methylene blue, which dyes your brain. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, I'm going to give you more
I'm
dye.
gonna
Is
take
what they're
those
actually going to
dyes
do.
and fucking put them somewhere else.
I'll take those dyes to give you a different dye. And just, it's literally like black is white. It's the same. Like it's crazy to me.
Yeah.
So Stargate is framed as 100 to 500 billion multi-year AI infrastructure plan. While the HHS just moved 500 million of federally backed mRNA projects to help fund this. And that could complicate the domestic funding coordination for the mRNA, which is what they're trying to do. They want the AI biotech backed because the tech bros, man, you can't forget the accelerationist guys. They got to have a piece of the pie. They want to get their beaks wet, man.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get my beak wet. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Get some of that money.
Dude, look, the first thing I pull up that comes up when I search Project Stargate 2025, first link is to OpenAI.
Yes, because Sam Altman is one of the main receivers of all this money, which is why we've gotten so many updates to ChatGPT,
Dude,
PT,
Out of everything I've looked up throughout the show and doing that is the first time I've gotten a link at the top for OpenAI.
Yeah,
That is wild.
it's crazy. All right. So bottom line, at the end of the day, vaccine definition was changed to create the mRNA vaccines. They don't actually work the way they're supposed to. Now they're selling you these new vaccines that they just put all this money into when we're $36 trillion in debt, and they're selling you this new improved AI infrastructure. It's all for you. It's all for helping you. And at the end of the day, we're going to get into how it really probably is the opposite, to be honest. It really probably is. I think that they're trying to figure out how to, perfectly map our bodies, program our shit, all that stuff. So that's the point of the wearables, man. That's why he wants us wearing them. So yeah, Stargate is just pretty much continuing what the deep state has been doing the whole time. So all this is kind of a rebranding of what they've already been doing, because so many people are outraged about what's been going on. So they're just recapturing the narrative by just reeling it back, starting over with a new thing, new name, same game. It's crazy, dude. So Epstein. In 2019, they went after Epstein, right? Who went after Epstein? Well, there's a man. What the hell was his name? Actually, I didn't even write it down. Okay, Berman. That's it. Jeffrey Berman. And Jeffrey Berman went after Epstein in 2019. And then if you look it up, they say that William Barr is the one who was the AG that went after Epstein. But if you actually read, they got rid of this guy, Jeffrey Berman, after he arrested Jeffrey Epstein. And then William Barr takes over essentially for damage control. And we could pull up William Barr. This is him right here. Now, a lot of people think that this guy, he said he was outraged by all the things he saw. He can't believe that the guards were asleep, that they let Epstein be killed, all this stuff. He acted very outraged. Now, go over to the one over to the right, Justin. Space relations. So his dad was the guy we talked about in a different episode, Donald Barr, who wrote a book called Space Relations. This guy was the guy who gave Epstein his job at the Dalton School, where he was a math teacher. And he began his career as a serial rapist, molester, whatever you want to call it. So that's kind of where it started. And it's funny that his son is the guy who was in charge of damage control with the Epstein situation. And now we can't forget, President Trump was president during this time. And, everybody likes to say that the Clintons killed Epstein. I'm not so positive that Trump did. Only because, the guy at Blackstone that just got killed, I just saw a picture of him with Ghislaine Maxwell hanging out. And then we know, proven, that Blackstone has loaned billions to Jared Kushner, Trump's son-in-law. So there's a perfect little triangle here. And I wonder if these guys at Blackstone knew anything about Trump and Epstein's connection, since they're connected to both of them.
Yeah.
And so I wonder if he was doing damage control there as well. I feel like we're the only ones asking that question. Nobody's really talking about that. Like, whoa, hold on now. Is that damage control on Trump's part?
First time that's ever been asked for me.
Yeah, like Clinton, did they kill Epstein, or did Clinton and Trump and their buddies all kill Epstein? Because you got to remember, Epstein was in prison.
Dude.
Maybe Epstein was in prison in New York, and we all know Trump's had a long history in New York. Maybe he knows maybe he could pull some strings. It may have been a mix of Clinton and Trump, because we know that Trump went to Hillary Clinton's daughter's birthday, or wedding rather. So they're close. There's a picture of Ghislaine, Jeffrey, Trump, Hillary at their wedding. So clear connections here. And the reason why I care about all this, and the reason why I started with the lying, the definition changes, and then led into the vaccines kind of abruptly and everything else, is because I'm just trying to show how it all comes together right now with what Trump's doing. Because what Robert Maxwell started with the AI infrastructure kind of funding of data collecting and spying on American citizens, that whole scandal, I think that Palantir was born out of that. And we talked ad nauseum about Palantir and how Trump is working with them very heavily, tapped them for $1 billion contracts for data collection. The military gave them a contract for military action. So this is big changes going on right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, the man who went after Epstein, man, he got shut down by William Barr, dude. That's a weird connection. It's a weird connection, dude. And I think that the guy who went after Epstein was just like, yo, I'm going after Epstein because he's cool with Trump.
Yeah.
Because you got to remember, bro, this guy was a Republican, and I feel like Trump's a fake Republican.
You
And
think
so
so?
real Republicans probably don't like Trump. And so I feel like the real Republicans that were against him, that also weren't lefty kind of Republicans, but like straight up old school, whatever, those ones that spoke out are probably the most honest out of this whole situation.
Yeah.
Because you can't trust the left. You can't trust Trump or any of his cronies or anybody that's bought out by Zionism in Israel, because so is Trump. I mean, we just proved that. And fuck, I don't know how much. I wonder how much people disagree with that at this point. I really do. But anyway, so, I mean, I'm telling you, dude, that's a wild, wild situation there. So yeah, he's in the network is what we're trying to point out. So I just think it's weird that he's going after Obama for Russiagate, but he's not going to go after them for the Epstein list hoax, as he calls it.
Yeah. Why is that?
He's like, oh, Obama, he did this and that, Russiagate, hoax. Okay, but you're calling the Epstein list a hoax as well. And then you're just going to leave it alone. You're not going to go after the people who have been, I mean, come on.
He's on that one. He's like, yo, just trust me.
I think it's both sides. It's a both side scenario. I think there's so many people on both sides of it involved in everything with Epstein.
Yeah.
Because it's all Jesper, dude. And if it's not Jesper, it's people that are controlled by people that are in Jesper. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I really, 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 really can't see it a different way. So yeah, the Manhattan shooter goes up to the 33rd floor in the Blackstone department of the building. Claims to have CTE from playing in the NFL, which there's no record of. He goes to the wrong elevator, ends up on the 33rd floor on accident, quotation marks. And then he kills Blackstone. Yeah, high up guy. I mean, I don't know. This guy was, pretty decently high up. Who knows, man? Maybe it was a warning shot for the guy they really wanted to kill. So they killed a couple people from Blackstone. So the guy they really wanted would shut up. Who knows? Could have been a warning. Who knows, dude? You never know in those situations, because you don't want to kill a guy that's directly connected to you, Epstein and Kushner. So maybe you go kill some people that work in the same office as him.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like something similar to that. I could imagine that being a part of it too. But either way, very symbolic on I forgot the street name. It was like, or the number of the building. It was like 325 or something like that. Or some weird. It was very symbolic.
Yeah, I remember when I was looking into it like a week ago or something. I just remember all of the numbers. And I was like, dude, Drew would go crazy for this shit.
It's too much. And they do that shit on purpose, man. They post that shit like somebody's telling them to type those numbers down on their fucking news report. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm talking about. Who's the people saying that? Right?
True.
It's weird, dude. It's weird, dude. Somebody's letting them know. Talking points. So all this to say, what has Trump been? I mean, should we talk about the Trump connections with Epstein? Does everybody believe me that Trump is connected to Epstein? Do I need to go over it? Trump says that he wasn't really close with him. But back in 2004, there's a quote that's very famous now where he says, oh, yeah, Epstein, I'm quoting like loosely. Oh, Epstein, yeah, he's a great guy. I heard he likes women, likes them a lot, likes them young. Some may say he likes them young. 2004, dude, before Epstein was in trouble and shit. Then there's been multiple occasions that they've been together, right? Remember the video we talked about where I said that he was talking to Epstein and making him laugh?
Yeah.
I learned more about that. So that was a calendar party for calendar girls, all models, 28 girls. The guy who set this up, the guy who set it up was pissed that it was only Trump and Epstein there. He said it was supposed to be like a bunch of people, like more guys. And it was just those two guys there to stare and look at and talk to and who knows what else, all those girls, right?
There was other guy
crazy.
with him in that video, the guy who was pissed or something? Because there's three people.
No, well, maybe that was the guy who was pissed because it was them two and the guy who started it. That's the one.
Okay.
So, yeah. And, yeah, they hosted a lot of parties like this. And a lot of them, 14-year-olds that look 24, as eyewitnesses have said. you know? And there's like 8 different occasions that you can pull up right now on the internet that they were pictured together hanging out. These guys were close. Why did Epstein go buy a house in Palm Springs right next to fucking Trump?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, apparently they had a dispute over business around like 2008 or something, but who knows? So there's a couple little weird theories with this where this could go. Either Trump's gonna do everything that we're about to bring up and go over and just fucking full balls to the wall, just do it. Or they need a little bit more chaos. And the chaos that I could see coming out would be where they do release the Epstein files. And it does implicate everybody. And it is the majority of our government. And it radicalizes people that are already radicalized to the point where they're so shocked and awed at what's going on that their reaction, a controlled reaction to a controlled solution, brings order out of chaos, aka the new world order, this new AI infrastructure, this new surveillance system, because people are going to want to overthrow the government that's so corrupt that all of them are raping little girls with some rich dude on an island.
Yeah.
So that's a way, that's an angle where you could get people to be so outraged over their government that they would then want to overthrow it. So don't think that they're not building up to this for a reason. I think they're building up to this for that reason, to build that chaos, bring more chaos to the situation. It's like the ultimate Streisand effect. You know what the Barbra Streisand effect is?
Tell me.
She didn't want people like to know where her house was. And so somebody like
Valid.
posted her house and she's like, take it down, take it down, take it down. Like so much that it actually made people want to know where her house was more. So the point is like, the more you try to force something, the more you try to force something, the more it's just going to make people want to see it.
Yeah.
I think they're doing that with the Epstein files right now. I think they're doing that. I think they're trying to build the views, the eyes, the attention, so they could then fucking wreck people's minds, dude.
I think that's a good take.
With the unveiling, the unveiling of the dark underbelly of our government.
Yeah.
You know?
I never really thought about it like that, but I did kind of get the hint that they got to be doing something on purpose because they've been so back and forth and wishy-washy about the Epstein files. And it's been pretty ridiculous up until the point now where you got people who didn't give a fuck about Epstein when all of it happened years ago. And now that's most of what people can talk about.
Oh, yeah, 100%. It's funny because he is building up to that. So if you wanted to do that, what would you do to protect yourself if you were building that kind of craze and radicalization and uprising?
Right.
What would you do? Would you maybe enact the Home Rules Act in DC and federalize the National Guards? That way you could protect yourself while you did some crazy shit?
He just did that like 2 days ago.
Yeah, he did. Maybe you would do something like that, right? Like I probably would. I'd probably fucking do that. I mean, I feel like he's testing this out. Like he tested it out in California first just to see if he could do it like in another state. Now I feel like the only reason to do that in DC is to literally cover your ass while you do more crazy shit.
Yeah.
And then, if you look at the reason why he said he brought the Home Rules Act, he said it was over crime. The murder rate is like 50 to 100,000 or something. That's like half of St. Louis. That's like a third of Chicago.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so if you'll do that in DC, well, who's to say you wouldn't do that in other cities? You see what I mean? Because the crime is a lot worse in other places besides DC. Now, here's the thing.
On it.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing, dude. He would have to federalize the government and federalize the National Guard. He's doing it in DC because there's no governor, right?
Yeah.
So he can easily do that. In California, I feel like he was just on some bullshit. He was really just trying to shaft Newsom. I feel like that's all that was. He was just like, Newsom, like, I'm going to fucking show you how much of a bitch you are. Like, that's really what most of that was.
Yeah,
I feel
he was like, yo, look what I can do.
But this is real, what he's doing in DC. Like, the Home Rules Act, let's get into what it is. So, oh, shit. Hold on. I got the wrong thing pulled up. So the Home Rules Act is it's a legislation targeting legislation targeting the Home Rules Act in February 2025, Representative Andy Ogles and Senator Mike Lee introduced the Bowser Act, which would repeal the District of Columbia Home Rules Act of 1973, which would abolish DC's elected mayor and council with no clear replacement. So in other words, get rid of the only people that do have a say around here. You know, we don't have a governor, but we do have a mayor. Let's get rid of that, right? Crazy. So executive pressure to federalize DC in August 2025, President Trump has repeatedly signaled his intentions to federalize the DC government. Now, in 2016, his election during that term, he talked about how governors were stupid, how he should be able to override their rule and essentially federalize his rule, right?
Yeah.
That is a dictatorship. That is an authoritarian dictatorship right there. So watch out, because that's nuts. So he's showing that he's willing to do it in this term, clearly. He's citing crime, homelessness, and public safety emergencies. He has invoked the emergency powers to take control of the Metropolitan Police and deploy the National Guard, 800 troops, and even threatened the Home Rule Act to justify a takeover. Now, I think he did use that Home Rule Act, or maybe he didn't, but he did threaten it for sure. Now, here's the thing. Remember, guys, I've talked about this on the show. They use national security, like 9/11, as a reason to crack down on your freedoms. That's exactly what he's doing right now. DC crime would be considered a city security issue, right? So you would require an answer like this, at least if you wanted to be, you know, Orwellian. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, but that's what's going on. They're using the classic old book of national security. It's all about, you know, keeping you safe. It's not about control. It is. Now, Stephen Miller, in May of 2025, had an interview. We could probably pull this up, where he mentioned suspending habeas corpus. HABEAS corpus. All right. So he talked about that in 2025 of May 2025. And he publicly stated that the administration was actively looking at suspending habeas corpus, particularly to expedite deportations under the pretense of an invasion at the border. That's pretty scary, man. You know, habeas corpus is, you know, that's the thing that protects us. You know, that gives us the right to court. You know, suspending habeas corpus means that you don't get a right to court. It's like it's a big deal. All right, let's hit it.
Supreme law of the land, that the privilege of the writ of habeas corpus can be suspended in a time of invasion. So I would say that's an option we're actively looking at. Look, a lot of it depends on whether the courts do the right thing or not. At the end of the day, Congress passed a body of law known as the Immigration and Nationality Act, which stripped Article 3 courts, that's the judicial branch, of jurisdiction over immigration cases. So Congress actually passed, it's called jurisdiction stripping legislation. It passed a number of laws that say that
they're trying to enact the suspension of habeas corpus. Now, if you think about that, what do you think the move in California really was? What do you think the No Kings movement was all about across the country? It was because it says right here, suspending habeas corpus, particularly to it says right here, suspended only in cases of rebellion or invasion. Rebellion. That's important. So either rebellion or invasion. That's the two ways we could do this, right? Well, let's try rebellion. Okay, that didn't work because too many people know about Palantir and too many people are telling other people not to go to these protests because that's all they're going to do, is what we talked about. And like, there's many others talking about that. So what do you do instead? The invasion part. Well, they did that for a little while. I mean, it didn't really work because they didn't even, I don't know if they were practicing. I don't know if he needs these camps open. I don't know if he needs more rebellion, but he just kind of put a pause on it for a minute. Yeah. I feel like it's going to come back. There's definitely more coming for sure. But yeah, so that was kind of the point of that. But yeah, it typically requires, you know, congressional authorization. But our Congress is controlled by Zionists, so they'll probably go for it. Oh, you don't believe me? Well, did you know that they stopped the congressional hearing so that way they could have a recess early? So that way they could stop talking about the Epstein files, which implicate the Mossad in Israel. And guess what they did? They went on a trip to Israel. So
Oh,
the
man.
Congress stopped early for a recess so that way they could go on a trip to Israel because they were talking about Epstein, who was related to the Mossad in Israel.
Hell yeah.
Couldn't have had anything to do with each other, I'm sure.
That's lit.
Yeah. So I'm just saying, dude, I don't trust our fucking Congress either. Like, it's fucking crazy. It gets deep out here in these waters, son.
Pretty
So
rough.
what else is he trying to do? I mean, we talked about the camps a little bit. He's got tent camps at military bases. He's accelerating plans to build a large-scale immigrant detention center program, rapidly deploy soft-sided tent facilities on military bases. He's got Alligator Alcatraz coming. We've talked about that. Speedway Slammer. That's another fun one. The Speedway Slammer, 1,000-bed expansion in Indiana's Miami Correctional Facility is being added. You got the Guantanamo Bay expansion. So they're bringing back the Guantanamo Bay. Let's go. Because they didn't do enough dirt.
Yeah, dude.
They didn't do enough fucked up shit there, did they? So we're going to bring that horrible place back. They propose expanding it to hold up to 30,000 detainees. Well, I mean, dude, they stopped deporting immigrants. So what do they need all these people to be detained for?
That's where you and I are going.
Bingo. Unless motherfuckers wake up, dude. The broader One Big Beautiful Bill Act is what we're kind of talking about. It allocates approximately $170 billion towards mass deportation efforts, $45 billion for detention centers, and $29.9 billion for enforcement operations. Billions and billions more in border infrastructure as well. So within that bill, as well, as we've talked about, because this is all the stuff that, like, Robert Maxwell, you got to remember, dude, this is the stuff that, like, he was involved in too, and it's now progressed. Yeah. These guys, and I'm pointing out that I don't think Trump was working for Epstein. I don't think Epstein was working for Trump. I think they're all involved in the same group that have the same agenda. And so this is the telltale. You could tell a tree by its fruits. So the border tech enhancements, which worry the shit out of me, AI-powered surveillance, including biometric systems, autonomous towers, and digital infrastructure. We've talked about that. There's also federal preemption of AI regulation, aka a controversial provision that threatens to block state and local AI laws for a decade, which they've kind of stopped, but they can penalize you and take away your energy or bandwidth and lower the amount you get if you do fuck with the AI infrastructure being built. So there's no moratorium on it, which means that if you can't fuck with it, but if you do fuck with it, you will be penalized. So there's an incentivization not to mess with it, right? So we didn't quite beat that the way I thought at first. The AI monitored camps are freaky. New detention centers could be outfitted with AI-enabled surveillance, effectively turning them into monitored zones where detainees have little privacy or recourse. But yeah, we got centralized control over dissent, which is what I'm worried about, with federal preemption of AI rules, aka Palantir. It's going to predict whether or not you commit a crime. Palantir is the baby of PRISM, Promise, and all these other spyware things that were going on in our country since 2001, at least.
This is who's gonna look over those prisons.
Yeah, dude. That guy's gonna be walking around with nothing on, no gun, just like, please try something, dude. Try it, bro. Try it, bro. You know what I'm saying? He's like, try it, bro.
Fucking try me, bitch.
And what we're speaking to right now, at the end of the day, guys, is the erosion of rights and oversight. The combination of the AI systems, rapid detention infrastructure build out, and weakened local governance could dramatically reduce legal accountability and civil liberties. That's what we're building towards now. I'm telling you. Now, remember we talked about the Golden Dome and how that's in the Big Beautiful Bill?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure, because you just pulled up. The reason why I bring this up is because you just pulled up Terminator, and Terminator had Skynet.
Right.
Well, the Golden Dome is going to be that Skynet.
Yeah.
That's what it is. And so remember how I mentioned how I said, oh, Elon Musk, I bet, is going to, with his Starlink satellites, probably get that contract. He did. SpaceX, dude.
Yep.
That's exact. Yep. Them fucking
got
them
it, dude.
satellites, dude. Those satellites he's been putting out there are not for no reason. So you use the AI data centers being built, all the infrastructure, all the cameras that are already in place, all the satellites that are already in place, Palantir's data collection, and you have now built an open air prison for the whole country, if not the whole world.
We're all being surveilled.
That's where we're at.
And
dude.
the wildest thing is that you can't fucking hide anymore.
Mm-hmm. I know. I mean, dude, there is a theme here right now going on. Removing local autonomy in key symbolic, areas like DC, that's a big deal, dude. Showing that local governments can be erased by federal decree. And it creates a template for other regions under emergency conditions or not. They could just make up emergency conditions, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And once a precedent is set for capital cities, it becomes easier to federalize other municipalities. Which, again, that's why I mentioned in his last term, he said he wanted to do this. He knew he wasn't going to be able to get it done in 4 years. I think he laid a little bit of the foundation. And now he's like, okay, I don't get to do this. Like, I'm done after this. So we got to roll this out. And that's why we're 7 to 8 months in. And we have covered so much ground in the past 7 to 8 months on the headway to this New World Order situation, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Dude, the 6G agenda is coming, bro. It's fucking coming fast. The suspending of habeas corpus. By the way, why did I bring that up? They want to suspend habeas corpus. Habeas corpus was deleted off of the White House website for a couple of days. And people noticed. And they were like, what the fuck? What's going on? They deleted it. And they said, oh, it was an accident. Was it an accident? I just showed you a video where Stephen Miller, the guy that's working for Trump, they're trying to suspend it. And then they deleted it off of the White House website to see if anybody would notice.
Yeah.
But if they did do that, it would eliminate the core legal tool that allows people to challenge detention. That's literally what the definition of habeas corpus. You can't challenge your detention, dude.
Yeah.
So this makes mass detention and political purges possible without judicial interference. And it turns enforcement agencies into the pretty much de facto arbiters of who gets to remain free. So ICE, DHS, these are all, that's post 9/11 Patriot Act shit. This has all been a slow game, a slow building since 2001 at least. But yeah, we got the physical infrastructure as well, AI-powered surveillance. They're framing the narratives, the public safety aspect, crime reduction, immigrant enforcement. And by the time the broader net is going to be cast, much of the infrastructure and legal authority will already be normalized.
A lot of it already is.
I know, dude. It freaks me out. Because I talk about this shit. People are like, what are you even talking about? Because it really, I feel like, is so normalized. They don't even, dude. And then when you point it out, they're like, well, does it do that? Like, they don't know it does the thing. It's just weird, man. It's like, wow, you really don't know anything about what's happening.
Yeah.
Like, dude, that just reminded me of this. I'm going to pull it out because I feel like it's worth it. Okay. So you guys so when I was reading in my esoteric studies, there's something that they said that came to my mind today. And I feel like my listeners should hear this. So within this system of nature worship, you have the pentagram, which represents the 5 elements. Okay. So within Freemasonry, there's writings where they talk about elements. They talk about how fire is the ultimate element and how electricity is fire perfected, purified. Kind of like alchemy. Lead is the fire. Gold is the electricity, right? So it's the enlightened version of fire, right?
Okay.
So when you look at it that way, and you think about conductors of energy and or electricity, if they're shaped in the form of a sigil from like magical rites, like a circuit board is, you have just hardwired mysticism. So when you look at a fucking, I mean, dude, when you think about it, have you ever, now look at a sigil compared to a circuit board. Look that up. I bet you somebody's made a side by side. Because I'm telling you, dude, that is what I think they are doing. And that's kind of what you just reminded me of there. And that's why all this matters, because this is the enslavement of humanity right here. Get ready, dude. Get ready, dude. Pull up on that shit. You see what I'm talking about? Hardwired mysticism. That is what we're looking at, dude. I mean, isn't it? It's so small, it's hard to tell, you know? But I mean, essentially, that is kind of what we're looking at. Very, very similar.
Yeah.
Like, oddly similar, bro.
That
That
is
one right
very
there, that
weird.
one right there looks like an electric tower, like the classic electric towers. The one in like the third row down in the middle, kind of.
Yeah.
Dude,
Like
that's nuts.
a lot of this.
Yeah. So I'm just saying, if you look at it from that point of view, and then you look at a city, remember, have you ever seen the cities, like an aerial city and then a circuit board where they compared the two? That's what I'm saying, bro. Like, we are on a grid system. Like, they're trying to make a micro macro fucking computer chip type shit. Like, that's literally what they're creating in front of us. And what does that mean? I don't know. Obviously, it means that they want to control humanity through technology. That's what it means. You know? So the stage that we see being set right now is the laws remove local authority and legal challenges, and then remove physical or add physical facilities. Get the technology ready where you can identify, track, and monitor people. And then, of course, build the narrative, condition the public to see these powers as necessary for safety or necessary for like revamping the government, right? Because again, it's either going to be a safety thing or it's going to be a radicalized, like everybody just fucking went crazy because of the Epstein shit. Like, I really think it's going to be like either that or a mixture of the two, because that would help too. Any of that. That's the thing about chaos. You just need a lot of crazy shit to happen. You don't really care what way it happens.
Right.
Because if you want order out of chaos, all you need is crazy shit to happen, and then you can make the order happen.
It doesn't matter what kind of shit. It just needs to be shit.
Exactly. So the Golden Dome that is proposed is a multi-layered U.S. military missile defense system. It's likened to a national scale kind of iron dome. So essentially our whole country be covered by this force field, if you want to call it that.
Yeah. So
here's the thing that matters for me. SpaceX, in partnership with Palantir and Anduril, a drone defense system that I haven't even heard of. It probably was the New Jersey drones that I guarantee you, I can fucking guarantee you, those are the people that had those drones. They're the drone defense systems company. They emerged as the leading candidate group to secure the key Golden Dome contracts. And they proposed a subscription model. Awesome. So we get to pay every month for it.
Oh, nice.
Isn't that the best? So they could raise it up like they do Netflix? Oh yeah, dude.
That's sweet.
They proposed this subscription model architecture centered on a constellation of interceptor satellites, the ones that are already there. However, their position isn't guaranteed. As July 2025, the Pentagon is now exploring alternatives, including Amazon's Project Kuiper and traditional defense contractors. They might be doing that. Maybe that's switched up a little bit now. Elon has gone a little bit. That's probably why he's going so much off his rocker lately. He's like attacking Apple. He's attacking Apple, and then Sam Altman. I don't like either of them, but Sam Altman's destroying him.
Yeah.
He's like, wait, but don't you change the algorithm for X to fuck with your enemies and like make them not, you know? I'm like, wow. And then Grok's like, yep, that's what he does.
Yeah, even Grok had his ass, dude. Grok was like, that sure is what the fuck he does, dude.
It's crazy to me. Yeah. You know, and don't forget, you know, because, you know, in the beginning we talked a little, All this stuff connects, guys. The lying with statistics, the vaccinations created by, you know, I mean, you got to remember that big dairy companies, the same ones that force you to fucking drink milk that's ultra pasteurized with nothing good in it for you, that's probably destroying your fucking cognitive health. Then they use the pus from these same cows to make vaccinations to put in your body with mercury filled in them. I mean, my God.
Fucking grody.
And the same guy made those two things. The same guy made those things. So it's like most of the shit that's came and like fucked with us has came from like a few people. It's not like everybody's like, how do all these people, how do they get away with it? It's like, well, not many people did a lot of this stuff. It's just like, it's just grown out of that. But yeah, it's pretty nuts, man. Pretty nuts. So, you know, we'll see if the Golden Dome gets made. If it does, it's probably going to be SpaceX pounds here. It's going to be a nice data collection system with biometric laws, just like Brazil.
Yeah.
Look up all the countries with biometric laws right now, because I know that they're growing. There is growth in that regard. 1 second. He's looking it up. We're going to get it going. Let me make sure I didn't miss anything for you guys. That was it, dude. I think we got all that kind of connected. You know, and Pam Bondi, you know, she's the one running the whole thing, the operation in DC right now. So that's great. We all know we could trust her. So in Africa, Tanzania has a mandatory national ID system and biometric data collecting. Uganda has a mandatory national ID system with biometrics. Gambia has a biometric voter registration system. Other countries in Africa, many others are noted for biometric data collections. So that's crazy. Canada has a national biometric database and uses biometric for immigration and border control. Brazil requires biometric data for national ID cards and passports. Costa Rica has national biometric databases. Asia has a national ID system and biometric data actively. India has Singapore, other countries, Afghanistan, Bangladesh, Iran, Iraq, Israel, Jordan, Kuwait, Lebanon, Oman, Pakistan, Saudi Arabia. I'm only saying this to tell you it is fucking coming really fast here, dude. Australia. And let's look at America real quick while we're passing that, because that was up there. United States has various biometric laws and regulations, particularly at the federal level related to immigration and national security, with some states also enacting biometric privacy laws. See how it's like really, really like, yeah, they don't quite have it in America. That's pretty much what it said. But every other country has it, dude. New Zealand also uses biometrics for various identification purposes.
Germany, France
requires biometric data for national IDs. Dude, I'm telling you right the fuck now, you guys might think that I'm off my rocker, but this shit is the 6G agenda, what we are talking about. And it is not a theory anymore. And I wish I would have started this show a little sooner. So maybe I could have had a little bit bigger forewarning. I feel like it's a little late now. It feels late. It's like
we're kind of already shit's kind of already hitting the fan, and we're like, hey, watch out for this.
I know. It's like, yo, we're doing it in the moment, and you know, and
just avoid the shit falling from the sky.
Yeah, pretty much. So, you know, our president Trump, you know, he's connected to this deep network of evil villains that we can call Jesper. Jesper never really ends, you know, because it really is a part of the same thing. It's all the same. And unfortunately, you know, America is the last place that usually enacts these things. So we all think like, oh, no, not here, not here. It's coming, dude.
I feel like a lot of our episodes going forward are just going to be echoes of the Jesper series.
A little bit, because it's like, come on, you guys, if you haven't listened to that series has been a hit so far. You better check it out. People love it. If you can handle it, we don't even go into that much detail. I feel like it's not like the worst one was when I talked about the dog thing. I was like, oh, I didn't even go through
but
detail.
there was exciting moments on that. We had Will Ram on there.
Will Ram, dude. Hey, speaking of, I'll be on William Ramsey's podcast, To Be Professional. I'll be on his podcast tomorrow. I don't know if he likes being called that. That was I hopped in on that. I was like, yeah, Will Ram, dude. But and then possibly be on Top Lobster on Friday. I am scheduled. We'll see if it works out. I haven't heard a response, but we're gonna see, dude. And we got Top Lobster. That's pretty dope.
That'll be tight.
So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. We in the beginning was a little bit choppy. All right. These are a lot of ideas we're trying to bring together here. I mean, we're backing up to Robert Maxwell, what he owns, what he publishes, how these publishing companies shape our history and definitions of things, how they've manipulated our minds with that. Because really, that's what it comes down to. And then now, what are they doing with all that? What are they doing? What are the fruition? What is the fruits of the tree? And it is not looking good. It's some ugly shit, bro. This is some bruised ass, black ass looking bananas, like crazy shit, bro. Like you threw this banana in the freezer looking shit, bro. Like this shit is bad.
It's been out for a couple weeks.
Man. They pulled it too early.
Listen to the stems all skinny and shit now.
Yeah, it's not right, man. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. I apologize. It's not a brighter episode. I mean, I feel like it is kind of shitty. It's like, damn, we're walking into hell. Get ready, guys. I mean, that's pretty much what we're saying. But
yeah.
Just remember, we started the Jesper series because we were talking about this, this network of people that seem to run the world. And then throughout it, we saw accelerationism, which we had already talked about before we even thought about doing Jesper. Yeah. So it's just, we kept, as we did that, find how it rears its head everywhere. The intelligence community. Controlled by the royal family and the Mossad and all these other, yeah. We do our best here to kind of give you what they want. I appreciate you guys coming through. I hope you enjoyed everything. We're going to see you guys next time. Go check out William Ramsey episode, possibly the Top Lobster. I assume it'll be on Nephilim Death Squad. You guys enjoy. We'll see you next time.